Okay, so it's been about 15-ish seconds. We should be audible now. This week, we are returning to streaming. We haven't been doing it for a while because we were waiting on Twitch to do better about things. We are seeing progress from them, so therefore we're going to go ahead. We're returning to streaming, and since it's the month of October, we're going to be focusing on Halloween all month. Well, on the crafting stream at least. So, today we are going to be making a tiny pumpkin. The pattern comes from a website called Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet. I will be including a link in the YouTube when I get there. It's a pretty simple pattern. I've used it before. This is a slight modification of the pattern that I was using, but that's okay. I'm sure that we'll do fine with it. So, let me go ahead and switch over to the camera. Okay, so, first things first, our yarn. This is actually a yarn I don't really like using. It was a gift from my mother-in-law out of her stash because she was stopping crocheting, but it is Bernat Baby Coordinates Sweet Stripes in Sprite Stripes. It's a really pretty color. It's just the texture is a bit frustrating to work with, but that's okay. We will manage anyway. Alright, so quick thing here. I'm just resizing things a little bit so that I can see how she does it. We will be using a 4mm hook. Normally, if I were making these pumpkins for, say, my store, then I would be using a 4.5mm, but I would also be using a thicker yarn than this. I normally use worsted weight, and this is what they call light worsted or double knit. So it's a bit, it's a bit more fiddly to work with. Also, this yarn tends to split when I'm working with it, so that's why I'm a little less interested in this yarn. I will be modifying this pattern slightly as we go because she starts the pattern out with chaining 2 and then doing 7 stitches into that second hook, second chain. I'm just going to do a magic loop and do 7 stitches into the magic loop. So, she does joined rounds. I do not. I don't like joined rounds. They're not nearly as easy. So, alright. Let's get started though. There is... Sorry, trying to figure out how best to position the camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's get going. There's our first stitch. I always put in 2 when I'm doing these before I add my stitch marker. Today's stitch marker is this cute little dinosaur that I made from a little random charm into a stitch marker. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, come up here, you. I can let people see. Thank you. 6 and 7. Now, we're going to pull this a bit tighter, but we're not pulling it super tight. That'll be later. eventually I'm going to figure out how to use my little GoPro camera, because the GoPro would let me, like, actually attach the camera to my head, so I could just aim it right at where my eyes are and wouldn't have to do the, okay, let's adjust the camera because I screwed up again. Alright, so... See what I was saying about this being a splitty yarn? It's already split on my first attempt to stitch into another stitch. For those who are interested in visiting my Etsy store, I'm just letting you know that my Etsy store is currently on hiatus, on vacation. I have a necessary surgery coming up, thankfully soon, but the store is going to be on hiatus until I return home from that surgery. I'm going to get everything set up over the next 2 months, and I'll be returning home on November 30th, so December 1st the store will go live again. Okay, so that's 2 stitches into each one around. So we're going to go from 17 to 14, or 7 to 14. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Come on. 7, 8. I'm realizing more and more that you guys really can't see what I'm doing. Okay. 9, 10, 11, 12, 'Hold on. 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I screwed up here somehow. Okay. I might have to swap to a different yarn. This stuff is fiddly. Pull that out. Let's count how many stitches we have real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I am not quite sure why things aren't wanting to work. Okay, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, because okay. I suspected that was the case. I had stitched into the starting stitch, which is not counted as an actual stitch for magic loop. Okay, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and come it. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. In good news, it is fall here in Oklahoma, and therefore the weather is nice. I have my windows open. Everything is nice and cool. Okay. So, alright. So this will start round 3, which is going to be 2 and 1. So we're going to increase by 7 stitches over the course of it. So we should end up with 21 at the end of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Okay. Starting to think that this might actually be a slightly too large hook for this yarn, but we'll have to wait and see how it looks once it's stuffed. Okay, so next chain around is going to be okay. Okay. Sorry, it took me a couple to read what she'd said. So this round we're going to be increasing by 2 each time around. But we're going to do it this way. We're going to do 1, 2. Then 1, so 3. That can't be right. 4, 5. That's a far. Okay. Okay, well, I'll do what she asks. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when I write patterns, I like to put how many stitches you're going to have at the end of each row in the thing. She didn't do that, so we'll see how this turns out. Right, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If I'm doing my math right, we're going to end up with 35 at the end of this round. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 30, 31, 32. Yep, okay. 30, 31, 2. And then here's 33 and 30. Well, I messed up somewhere in here. Somewhere in this round I screwed up, because I shouldn't have ended on 34. I should have ended on 35. Hold on, I'm going to swap over to be right back. I'm gonna get a drink real quick, for one. Okay, so I went and did some digging, and I found the original pattern that she had posted that I was using before. And I'm going to go ahead and use that pattern. So I have now pulled out the entirety of what we had made, and we're going to work from this instead. Instead of switching over to show you guys the stitching, it's going to be the exact same as what I just did. So until I reach the point that I was at last time, I won't be showing what I'm doing. I'll just stick to the chatting. And this will go pretty fast since I won't be fussing at the camera the whole time. So, like, these little pumpkins do not take much time. My goal was to complete a full one over the course of probably an hour to maybe 2 hour stream, but since I had this set back 30 minutes in, I don't think I'll be able to finish it in that time, but that's okay. I will finish it this week, and I will again on YouTube have the pattern visible for people. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Excuse me. Okay. Pulling that. Okay, so there's my first round. Now, 14, 21. See, on this pattern, the original that I'd found first, back when I was initially making these, she had posted the, okay, here's how many stitches you should have at the end of each round, which, great. That's what I was hoping for, and I'm glad I found this pattern again. This particular, the one I was trying to use initially, for this, she did them so that you could put, like, as she put it, wax scented beads inside them, so you could have scented pumpkins, which nice. But you can do that with any plushie, any item, and personally, instead of using the wax scented beads, which if you try to wash it in the washing machine will melt and make a real mess of the inside of your washing machine, I would use just a couple drops of essential oil on the stuffing when you put it in. I do similarly when I'm making cat toys. I actually put a little bit of actual catnip inside the toy when I'm stuffing it, and cats love it, of course, because cats. Okay, so that's but yeah, just a couple drops of essential oil, and then what you can do in the future is, if it starts to lose its scent, you can just refresh it by adding a few more drops. It's not going to hurt the yarn. This is an acrylic yarn, which, as I've said more than once, great for people who prefer to work with wool or other natural fibers, but given that most of what I make is for little kids, it's toys, I tend to work with acrylic because it is easy to wash, and especially for parents with a small child, you don't have time or energy to hand wash things. So no harm in using the acrylic fibers. Just make certain you take care of them. And you know, if you want to use something that's more environmentally friendly, feel free. You can absolutely make anything that I'm making using wool or cotton or any number of natural fibers. Just, you know, be prepared that it's going to be a little bit more intensive on taking care of it. You're going to have to, I mean, you can use superwash wool, which is also machine washable, but, you know, it's up to you. Cotton, I think, is great for bags, not so much for plushies, but bags, cotton works great. Hats, of course, wool is excellent. It's so warm. Feels wonderful. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, natural fibers are great. There's some wonderful bamboo and other natural fibers that are available. So always view it as an option. But in the case of mine, if you're wanting washability, I go with acrylic just because, you know, I've been that, I was that parent who didn't have time to wash things unless it was toss in washing machine and toss in dryer. You know, I've been there. So, won't get judgment from me. So, that's 9. My plan for this coming month is each week doing a different craft using the Halloween theme. Next week I am planning to make a dead fairy in a jar, or a skeletal fairy. I found a tutorial on how to do it online, and everything is items from the dollar store, except in my case I've got one thing that isn't, but it was just a thing I already had on hand. So so that's going to be next week's craft. Let's see. I'm not sure what I'm going to make other weeks. I'm just kind of planning things out as I go. So this week okay. By the way, I've just gotten to the finished round 3, which was where we were last time. So switching back to our main camera, which has gotten fussed with. Okay. So, this one is, yep, this is the increase by 1 each round. So that's what I was hoping for. Okay, so now we're going to go, and 1. Guess I should swap back to, there we go. Seriously, there's got to be a better way than how I've got the camera arranged currently. Because right now the camera is hanging from my shirt, so that y'all will hopefully see what I'm doing. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So something that I've been seeing a lot of lately is people going, why do people love Halloween so much? And I saw a very interesting theory on that recently, which is basically that most cultures that are heavily regimented into social strata have what is called a reversion festival. Like in there's the Feast of Fools that happens over in, or did happen, I don't know if they still do it, over in France, where basically, you know, the poor and the lower classes, at least in, you know, Renaissance and medieval France, it was their day when they got to be the ones in charge. And the thing is, people don't realize just how regimented American society is. Okay. And so, for American society, we really didn't have any reversion festivals until Halloween became very popular, because it's a day when you get to be whoever you want to be. And it is a day when, you know, you can hide behind a mask if you want to, or you can be open and flamboyant as much as you want. And it serves as a very important way to let off steam. And so that was the theory that I saw, and it makes sense. Because the more regimented a society is, the longer these festivals would last. And so, again, people do not realize just how regimented American society is by its nature. And so, it's no wonder that Halloween has now become basically an entire month-long event, instead of just being a single day. And, you know, the person that I saw this from, they listed off some other holidays that might be considered everybody is equal, nobody is better than anyone else. You know, 4th of July, which is, we're all Americans, but 4th of July, it's really too hot to do much more than, you know, go out and drink a few beers and, you know, have a party that way. Okay, so we're now at 28 stitches. We are switching to the next round, which is going to have 35 total. So, and of course we've got Labor Day, but the thing is, there's still people who have to work Labor Day. I mean, people work on Halloween too. But in a lot of cases, you get to take your costume and dress up at work, and, you know, the work, at least in office environments, will have like candy or, you know, goodie bags. Fast food and retail, a lot of times, the best you're going to get is they'll put a bowl of candy in the break room, and you get to wear a costume while you're working. But just that wearing of a costume can be such a big thing, especially if you work with the public, because it changes how they interact with you and how everyone interacts with you. And I mean, there's also the fact that, you know, Halloween takes the place of the Harvest Festival for America. It is we're going to have one last big hurrah before the winter months when it gets cold and miserable, and the days are so short that you don't really have a choice but to do everything possible before it gets dark. And I'm certain that there are people who are going, well, I have no problem doing things after dark. But we're talking about the general populace. Most people who, you know, who are working within what they consider standard work hours, so the 8 to 6-ish generally, somewhere in that area. Once it starts getting dark, they just kind of go home. They don't really go out and do things. Okay, 15, that's where I wanted to be. So, which to me seems very weird since I tend to be a night shift worker. It's interesting to me that, you know, people just don't continue to do stuff after dark. They want to be home in their pajamas once it gets dark. This is not talking of like college-age kids or young professionals who are going out drinking a lot. This is just the people who are, you know, more settled. Maybe they've got kids, you know, things like that. I don't know. For me, after dark is when I do everything, if I can get away with it. Daytime is when I want to be asleep. Let's see. But, I don't know. It makes sense to me that it's our combination reversion festival / holiday festival. So, or winter, fall harvest festival. That's the word I was looking for. But we will, you know, it's just theories. None of this is definite. Like, if we were talking about farming, I could give you definite things, but not in this case. Okay, so, alright, this is going to get us to the completion of round 5. So, next one is going to be our round 6, where we'll do 2 stitches, then oh, they've got theirs set up. Okay, well, like I said, I'll be modifying the pattern a little bit to fit my needs. We're going to do 2 single stitch, then 1 or 2 single crochet, and then do 2 in 1. So we'll do an increase and then 2 single crochet. I like to do it similarly to that. Okay, so 1, 2, then 3, 4. It's mildly annoying to me that this is not changing color yet on this fabric, because, oh, never mind, I see the color change coming up. So, yay. So we will have some striping on this pumpkin, which is what I was hoping for. Okay. So 6, 7, 8. And even if I don't finish this today on stream, then what I'll do is I will grab one of my already made ones just to show off, let people see, okay, here's what the finished product will look like. And maybe one of the later weeks I'll do another one, and I'll be a little more organized so that things are, you know, nicer and tidier, and I don't have to futz with the camera every few minutes. Seriously need to get that GoPro going, though. That, I think, is going to be our best bet. Okay. There we go. Now we're seeing the green. Funny story about these pumpkins. I have my Etsy shop, of course, and at one point I had, as a gift to a purchaser, included one of these pumpkins. And they apparently had given it to their cat as a toy. 4, 5, 6, 7. And it quickly became the cat's favorite toy. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so. And their cat finally just tore the pumpkin up to the point that they couldn't play with it anymore. So they reached out to me on my Etsy to try and buy another one. And I didn't realize that the initial one, the one that was given as a gift, had not gotten removed from my store stock. And they basically tried to order the exact same pumpkin, which was the one they already had, since my items are either one of a kind or custom. And so I go out and I look for my completed pumpkin of that particular color, and I could not find it anywhere. And so I go and I'm like, well, okay. I reach back out to them and I say, I'm going to have to make you a new one. This one has disappeared. And do you want it in the exact same colors? And they're, yes, please. Because they wanted the exact same pumpkin that their cat had loved so much. And I go find what I used for it. And then I discover, oh no, that colorway has been discontinued and I don't have any more of that yarn. And so I reach out and I'm like, okay, so I am out of that yarn. I don't have any more, so I can't make you the exact one. Yeah, okay. And I'm like, can I just get a similar yarn and make you a new one using it? And thankfully they were very happy with that. And I made several test pumpkins. And then I sent them pictures of all of them and said, okay, these are the ones I've made. Which one do you want? And they, of course, picked the one that they liked. And then they were very happy with it and everything worked out well. But that's part of why I am going to be making it a point to... that's part of why my shop is currently on hold. Not only that, but I also want to get better pictures of all of the items. We've just completed round 6, so we now have 42 stitches. So this next round we're going to make it 49 total, so increasing 7 each time. And once it hits the 49 total stitches, that's when we have finished our increases, and we will start the just going around in circles without increasing, which is where it gets really fast because it's easy. And then the once we've done all of that, it'll move to decrease only, and it'll let us finish the pumpkin off pretty quick. So it's 7 rounds total of increases. So starting one counts as increases because you do 7 stitches that weren't initially there, and then every round after you increase by 1 set of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 8, But yeah, the Etsy shop, I want to get better pictures of all of the products that are in it. I want to revamp the product descriptions so that they are more accurate. I want to get the weights of everything that will be mailed out so that the costs of shipping are going to be accurate, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, 2 more stitches and then I'll have to do the next repeat. 20, 21. So, the goal is to make everything as smooth as possible with the shop. Make certain that I don't advertise anything I don't have. I'll be updating shipping times. Because some of the items I've got listed as, okay, this takes me 2 weeks to make, but that was before I started working. Lost count again, give me a moment. 1, 2, like if I'm doing the custom superhero dolls, those take a lot longer than a week or than 2 weeks, especially if I am back to working in the office, because I don't have nearly as much time to work on things. I'm not quite sure what I want that timing to be on the crafting of those. So it's one of the decisions I'll have to make when I get to it. Okay. I should have 12 stitches left. 1, 2. Yes, perfect. Okay. That 12 stitches is again going to increase to 14, so okay. For the moment, it looks like a slice of lime. Okay. So that gets us to 49. Now, rounds 8 through 16, we're just going to do the exact same circling around. We're not going to increase, we're not going to decrease. It's just going to be 8 rows of the exact same thing over and over. So I do actually think, because that part is not interesting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap over to the Be Right Back. And I'm going to go get one of the already completed pumpkins, bring it over, show it off, and then I think we'll end the stream for tonight, okay? So, one moment here. Okay, so switching back to the chatting instead of the regular camera, found two of my little sample pumpkins. And as you can see, they are very pumpkin shaped, just tiny. These are made with worsted yarn, not the light worsted or double knit, so these are actually bigger than the pumpkin I'm going to be making right now. But the trick to them is how you get them to make these nice pumpkin shapes is you leave a really long yarn tail, and when you sew it in, you kind of squish it all the way around the pumpkins to make those. And the pattern, when I share it, will have links on how to do that. I'm not sure she used the yarn tail to do it specifically, but the yarn tail just makes the most sense to me, so that's what I do. Alright, so gonna go ahead and I am going to end the stream. I will, as I said, include the link in the YouTube page when I go ahead and send that up. I hope that everyone has a beautiful rest of your week. I hope people enjoyed it. I'm sorry it wasn't as long a stream as what I had initially intended, but this is just me getting back after, I think, over a month of not streaming, so it's going to take me a bit to get back in the swing. But until I see you again, keep in mind my Thursday night stream will be the Star Wars The Old Republic stream, and then I'll be back next Sunday with the Dead Fairy in a Jar, or Skeletal Fairy, whichever you want to call it. And I hope that you guys all stay safe, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself. I'll see you next time.